Hi guys, and welcome to another one of my vlog updates. Not lots happened this week, but I thought I'd just give you a quick roundup of the things I've been watching on TV, Netflix, and all that palaver. First up, I'm going to address a program actually two programs back to back, that I'm basically rage watching. The first of which is Gotham. Now, obviously, spoiler alert, I'm going to discuss maybe one or two things that happened. So if you haven't seen this week's episode, today being the 25th or 26th of February, don't watch any further, maybe. But anyway, so this week on Gotham, I'd heard some quite outlandish claims from a good friend of mine, someone hopefully you know, David Goss, that this was the best ever episode of Gotham. I have to disagree. I'm not a huge fan of Gotham, I should say. Obviously a huge comic book fan. I'm loving all these shows that are out there. Gotham's one that just has not struck a chord with me yet. So this episode came along, and as I say, David Goss is an absolutely massive fan of the show, and every week, almost every week anyway, he's given it, blowing its trumpet, so to speak. And this week I was expecting it to be maybe just that little bit better, and it just was very average. I didn't really enjoy it all that much. Within 5 minutes, it already pissed me off. There was a scene where Galavan's sister, I can't think of her name, but she started shooting at Penguin. If you've ever watched the show, Penguin has a limp. He was about 10 foot away from her, and she missed with every single step. This killer, this trained, dangerous woman, couldn't even hit a cripple, for want of a better word, from... apologies to anybody out there that's offended. Didn't mean to. Couldn't even hit a limping guy from 10 feet with a gun. Well, that's bullshit, isn't it? So he then jumps out of a window. She doesn't go after him. Why would you? Why would you want to kill someone and then when they run away, leave them? Just let them go. Pathetic. The rest of the show was a bit bang average. There's a couple of good bits. I mean, we finally get to see the Riddler, hopefully becoming the Riddler. And there was also quite a cool scene with numerous Penguin copies. But overall, it was just a bit of a nothingy episode. I didn't rate it as highly as my good friend David Goss. As I say, it's not a show that's really... I'm watching at the moment because I've got nothing else on, with Flash, Arrow, both back next week. And also Legends of Tomorrow, which I'm not looking forward to, but I'll still give it a watch just in case. It's better than I expect. I'm just watching it at the moment to fill in the gaps. Speaking of shows that I'm watching to fill in the gaps and that I'm not a fan of, The Walking Dead. I don't understand how this show is still so wildly popular. Bit of backstory. I watched the first 3 years and absolutely adored it. Probably one of the best shows on TV at that time. And then I don't know what happened, but soon after they left the prison, it just became an absolute ball fest. I don't care about any of the characters. There's one or two maybe, that's a bit harsh. I'm intrigued to see what happens with Rick Grimes in the long run. Daryl's not a bad character, Carol's not a bad character, but overall, I really don't give a shit about any of them. Even the comedy, like even when you get somebody like, I keep calling him Eugene, I don't know if that is his name, mullet guy. He's there for comic relief. I don't find him funny at all. He's over the top and pathetic. There's nothing good about it. Similar to Gotham, they often have these action sequences where it just makes no sense. There was one episode in the first half of the series where Morgan attacked like 5 people, not zombies, humans, with his stick. One of them, they started retreating. One of them picked up a gun. He started chasing after them with his stick, and the guy with a gun ran away. Don't get me wrong, some of the other shows I watch, Flash and Arrow, for example, or S.H.I.E.L.D. I love S.H.I.E.L.D. They are not perfect by any means. But I just think it's lazy when these things happen. You just think that would not happen at all, in the slightest. And it just takes me out of the show, and I just then lose interest in it. I'm watching Gotham because, basically, like I say, there's nothing else on. The Walking Dead's slightly different in that I'm watching it because I've invested so much time into it, I kind of feel like I need to see how it ends. And unfortunately, it's got no fucking sign of ending, so I'm just going to be stuck watching it forever. I also watched S.H.I.E.L.D. Not a lot to say about this week's episode. Basically, all that happened was S.H.I.E.L.D. found out that Andrew was Lash and that he was the one chasing the Inhumans, and they took him down. So, not a bad episode. Gave you a little bit of backstory as to how he became Lash. Obviously, a little emotionally charged because of May and Andrew, and sort of the relationship between them breaking down. Quite enjoying S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't love it. It's not perfect, but the first half, the very, very first half of season of the first season was it was atrocious. It was really cheesy and over the top and just poorly made. They turned it around second half of the season. I just feel that it's, since that first season, they have actually got a bit more about them compared to something like Gotham, but at the same time, it's still not perfect. In terms of movies this week, I watched today a film called Big Eyes with Christoph Waltz and Amy Adams, about an artist back in the 50s who she drew these paintings of children with big eyes, and they weren't popular. Basically, in the 50s, nobody would buy art by a woman, and she met this guy, fell in love, and then through circumstance, he essentially basically took credit for her paintings. And so it's about her getting upset about the fact that, you know, her work is being, for want of a better word, stolen by her husband. Wasn't a bad film. First half was quite interesting, like when you sort of see like the lead up to how all this happens. Second half was a little ridiculous. I like Christoph Waltz. He's usually a very charismatic character and usually draws your attention, but at the same time, he just went a little bit over the top on this at times. A little bit farcical. Worth noting, this was directed by Tim Burton. Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter were nowhere to be seen. So, if you want to see, this was sort of a little bit more subtle Tim Burton, a little bit old school of his, rather than his over the top, Dark Shadows-esque movies. I don't even know if he actually directed that, but it feels like it should be directed by him. So it's worth watching. It's worth a watch, but at the same time, I wasn't blown away by it. It was like 3 out of 5 or something like that. I'm currently halfway through another film called Maps to the Stars, directed by David Cronenberg, a director I don't particularly have much interest in or love for. Looking through his repertoire, I think there's possibly only one film, and I can't even remember what it was, but there was one film that I've actually enjoyed of his. This is okay, bit pretentious, but it's basically a number of stories about various Hollywood types and the shit that's going on in their life. It's not bad, it's not great, it's forgettable. I'll probably finish this and just move on with my life. Speaking of moving on with my life, I'm going to move on with my life right now and leave you here. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate this has been a very, very long video. I'll try and keep them a little bit shorter from now on, and in the meantime, thank you for watching and subscribe for more videos.